I think it's instinct. I think that that's what's kept them alive for thousands and millions of years, I guess, is that one horse decides to take off and bolt and run the other way, and they all go with him, whether they wanted to or not, just instantly and instinctively, because that's what saved the whole herd, or at least some of them, back in the dinosaur days.
When we spread out and gather those horses, it's like they know. Those horses just know. And they know before you even see them. They can hear, I don't know, there's something about a horse. I think they can read our minds. They just know. And you'll see them running 2 miles off before they've even seen you, just because there's like some hidden inner herd communication, and they all just start running. And horses, when you gather them, they don't gather slow. They're not like cows. When you gather horses, it is full on, fast, go.
Gathering horses is a little different than driving them. You're in open country, it's kind of like hunting, I guess. You head out across the 8,000 acre pasture, and you're on two sides of the canyon and 500-foot cliffs to the bottom of the canyon. It's your job to find all the horses, and you're starting out, lots of country, very few horses. As the day progresses, the bunch gets bigger, headed towards that section of ground down low on the creek.
They do run in herds, and there are natural leaders within those herds. It's not always the fastest or the smartest horse. Sometimes you'll look at a horse out front and go, why are you here? Why are you in the lead here? But within our group of several hundred horses, there may be 10 different little bunches. We call them bunches, because that's what they are. They always hang out together. And if you see one of them, you know that bunch is accounted for. And generally they stick together by where they go to work in the summer. They become friends just like people, and they hang out in those little bunches. But within a big bunch of horses, say 400 horses, once they get the idea that we're moving them, we're gathering them, and we're headed in one direction, slowly those bunches will start coming in to become bigger bunches. But there's always leaders in those bunches, and that's what you want to watch when you're gathering horses and when you're moving horses, are your leaders, because your followers always follow.
They've been out on range for 6 months, and whether they'd like to admit it or not, they're gentle horses, and they're kind of hard to some of them to convince of that. Most of them head in the right direction, and there's a few outlaws that you got to tune up on a little bit, but most of the time if you got good cowboys in the right spots, you can get them into the pasture that you want them in.
It's a pretty good bunch, and it may seem like mayhem when they're all running in 16 different directions, but it's not. They're well trained and well broke horses, and they know what they're supposed to do. And they'll try you, and it's more about conveying to them what you expect of them than it is about just sheer brute or sheer speed. You've got to make sure that they know what you want from them, because usually 9 times out of 10 a horse, if he knows what you want from him, he'll do it. This is part of their job, is to come in. It's time to come to work, and they need to know that. And so it's important that we don't screw up. It's important that we don't mistrain them. This isn't a one-time deal. This is part of their life on our ranch. Is they go to winter range and they come back again in the spring, and we run them on pastures. And to get them home, they have to know how to be gathered. We have 400 head of horses that work. They go to guest ranches and outfitters and hunters and trail ride outfits and kids camps, and out of 400 horses, the majority of them have a job, and that's how we have a job. They work. majority of our clients use our horses to make money for themselves. And so they require a specific type of horse. We have what we call show week, which is that's the reason we bring our horses in the springtime, is so that we can show them to our new clients and start our season, which is really the beginning of our work year for the horses. We show them what we've chosen for them, what we think is right for them, and then they preview them, make sure that they like it. And we know them all. We know all our horses. We know their personalities and their names, and we know them as individuals. So we kind of get in our heads what we think is going to work for each different outfit that takes our horses. And then we hope that we were right.
We try to tailor our horses' temperament with their people's ability. For example, somebody that has a lot of experience will give a horse that has a lot of experience, and somebody that's never ridden before will give a horse that has never been ridden. Keeping our horses broke isn't much of an issue, except for in the spring. And the only way to remind them that they're broke is to crawl on them and go, and let them do whatever they're going to do. Let them, if they want to buck, let them buck. If they want to run off, let them run off. Get it out of their system before their people get here. And usually, and I know who they are. The ones that I know are going to screw up year after year after year. And I got a couple of horses that are 20-some years old and buck every spring. I know that they're probably too old to work very hard if they're 23 or 4 years old and they don't buck anymore. I know there's something wrong. And probably the horses that we don't buy much underneath 10 years old anymore. They're just, there's not anybody that can work a young horse or will forgive him for screwing up, for just being a horse.
We don't do so much breaking of horses. We do retraining of horses more than anything, and that's the biggest challenge: is keeping your horses not spoiled and not soured. And they learn all kinds of crazy things at their jobs from people that don't know horses, because that's the nature of the business. You're sending broke horses to people that don't know really how to ride, or because that they're dudes, and that's our business, is we cater to them. So it's a special kind of horse, first thing, that'll stay broke and that'll put up with beginners. And then it's a program of monitoring, and you'll get a horse that for 3 years is perfect, and then 1 year you'll get a report on the 4th year that this horse just hates his job, and that's the way we interpret it. But he's doing things like kicking other horses and biting and laying his ears back and not wanting to be saddled in the morning, and we just know it's time to change his scenery and get him a different kind of job, because he's bored. He's just like a person, he's bored. So you just keep him broke by making him happy with the job. And there are some horses that this isn't right for them. You know it too. They don't like it. They don't like dudes. They don't like it, and you find a different job for them where they can do what they like, or else you have a problem.
Every year we have a horse drive. I guess it's been 4 years now. We got a hell of a pasture over there that's about 35 miles from the home ranch, and it's some of the best grass on top of a mountain, and it stays open all winter, and it's good warm water runs through it, and ridges stay blowed off, and it's excellent horse country. And we've got to get those horses from there to home for show week, where we show all these horses to their prospective employers for the summer. And there's no way to get them home except truck them or drive them. Well, with 400 head, we're 3 or 4 days now getting them trucked, and it's we thought that as much interest as we've had in these horse drives, that we ought to invite the public to go. It takes 3 days. We start out. We don't babysit anybody. They're an employee for 3 days. They work for us. They get a horse from us, and they aren't along just for the ride. We're dependent upon them to help us, and by God, they do pretty good. Most of the people we recommend that they have a lot of riding experience before they come here. They're not going to have a very good time, because this stuff is wide open, and there's canyons and cut banks and draws, and we're starting out on about 7,000 acres. Collect them into a 640-acre pasture, and then drive them 30 miles in 2 days. And if you're just learning how to ride, that's not going to be all that enjoyable a trip for you. And we have some people fall off anyway, and we haven't had anybody get too badly hurt. You know, lost a little hide or something, but that's kind of to be expected, and that's probably going to happen every year. They're going to get on a horse. They're going to be a cowboy. They're not just playing it. They're going to be one for 3 days. They're going to get their attitude just like they would on a real outfit. And I get to do that, and it's as hard on me as it is. I'm not opposed to doing it just so they'll get the full experience.
I think running horses is the most challenging riding that I do, I know, and that maybe you can do. And it's fun. It's fun. It's like a good sport. I guess maybe a lack of self-preservation is the best kind of personality to have if you're going to move horses.
'Cause I can't stand to lose. 'Cause I was born to be a cowboy, full of dreams and broken bones. God, it ain't an easy life, but it's the one I chose. And I was born to be a champion.
Not every horse can gather horses. And so when people call us up and they say, can we bring our own horses? We always say no. Because you can't just, if you run several hundred head of horses underneath most horses' noses, they are going to flip out. They are going to get in that bunch and run away too. That's not something that most horses today know about. They don't know about running in big bunches of horses. So if you are an excellent rider and you've got a horse that hangs out in a 20-acre pasture for its life with one other horse, though you probably are 100% confident on that horse riding in any situation, you get him in the middle of another couple hundred head of horses, and that's not the same horse, and they don't always act like they're supposed to. So we use our horses because our horses know this life, and our saddle horses know their job.
'Cause I was born to be a cowboy, full of dreams and broken bones. It ain't an easy life, but it's the one I chose.
I don't want to create any illusion here that this is an easy deal. If you want a watered-down package version of the Old West, this isn't it. We recommend everybody comes in here who's got a little bit of riding experience and some physical stamina, because it's 3 days of pretty hard riding, and it's not the same as a walking trail ride in Yellowstone Park. This is going to be at least trotting and sometimes wide open running across some pretty damn rough terrain. This isn't flat. This is Montana. There's rocks, there's cliffs, there's draws, there's everything. And your horse is going to see a damn sight more than you are for a little while, and if you're not ready to make that turn when he is, guess who's going in the dirt? We thought that our guests would be interested in some Montana bowling, Pogriba style. That's Larry's last name.
Yeah, it's just black powder.
The first year we had this pasture, I was riding around fixing fence, come upon a bowling ball and go a little further, and there'd be another one. What the hell is going on? Met our neighbor Larry. I now know.
Let's see, this got such small holes, I may not be able to.
Is there any danger going off when it hits the gunpowder? Or do you ease it in there?
Well, look out, boys. There we go.
They claim Larry's kind of got a short fuse. You want to watch him a little.
Okay. And this one, we're just going to go for this.
I think we got contact.
Well, from the moment our guests arrive on our place, they're part of the crew, and it's a small group that we have here, so we don't have a huge amount of people. You will know your cowboys, your friends, and they will be part of your crew. So once we arrive, we're out on that gather. We're out basically in the middle of nowhere. We have put together a weekend that is just chock full of really, really good food, excellent company, lots of really good entertainment. First night we stay out in wall tents and hope that it's not freezing, but if it is, we've got big bonfires. We cook big juicy steaks, sit around the campfire and have some cocktails, and we've got a couple local musicians that ride with us and a cowboy poet, and we just all kind of hang out in front of the fire that night and eat and drink until we fall asleep, and next morning we don't want to stay out too late.
I do.